Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. Today we're looking at the 1985 cult classic Silver Bullet. The film is a movie adaptation of the Stephen King novel Cycle of the Werewolf, which was released in 1983. And I think it's a very good adaptation of the novel, as King actually wrote the screenplay for this movie. The film stars Corey Haim, Gary Busey, and Megan Follows. It centers around a story of murders happening in a small town of Maine called Tarker Mills, where men, women, and children are even killed by a werewolf. The whole movie plots around a kid named Marty and his sister Jane and their crazy Uncle Red. When Marty starts to suspect a person possibly being the killer or a werewolf, they try to warn people, but again, nobody believes them. It turns out that the werewolf is actually a pastor that lives within the area, struggling with becoming the werewolf, but also killing because he thinks people are sinning. The movie has its share of creepy moments. Just the simple fact that you don't actually see the full body of the werewolf too much later in the movie, but you do have simple hints that it's there, from growling to maybe its arm coming up to maybe the viewpoint of the werewolf, as well as it being under the fog. The swamp scene is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, especially since it's so creepy, and it really reminds me of the Universal movies that were in the past that showed a lot of fog, and this atmosphere created in this movie is just great. This movie also has a different telling of the werewolf character. It kind of reminds you of the old Wolfman, but with a more darker twist. It's a man basically struggling with who he is as becoming a wolf, but he's doing certain things as a wolf because he believes it's religiously right, or he's saving people from hell. This all on top of a transformation scene and a de-transformation scene, which I think is greatly shot, along with the way a silver bullet is made, which happens to be probably my favorite part in the whole movie. Another great addition to the film is actually the character of Red, played by Gary Busey, and Gary Busey actually ad-libbed all his dialogue in this movie with permission from Stephen King. He does a great job. His character is basically a kindred spirit who has a great relationship with his nephew Marty, who happens to be in a wheelchair. Uncle Red actually builds him a badass motorcycle type wheelchair where he can drive around automatically, along with giving him fireworks so he can set them off on the bridge, just because an event was canceled due to the murders happening around town, and he wanted him to feel like normal again. His character is a great addition to the movie and probably one of the best parts of the movie. It has many memorable scenes. Like mentioned before, the swamp scene's a great one, as well as the making of the silver bullet. But another great scene is the scene where Jane actually goes around town collecting bottles while expecting to see the person who was injured by Marty's firework. Hence, that would be the werewolf. And you can see her going through towns, looking through people's eyes to see if they are injured. I think that's a nice, cool part of the movie, along with the fact that it's just creepy. The transformation scenes are great, and it brings back a good adaptation of a werewolf movie. Now, we are all in love with A Werewolf in Paris and A Werewolf in London, but this is a nice little one that's not talked about as much as it should be. So I recommend you check it out. Well, with that, guys, thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and be sure to check out more videos at thetainedglove.com.